Incense in the censer now is burning. All the Dharma receives the fragrance. From Father's Eva's also, O Buddha's eye, all inhale His sweetness. I in every place auspicious clouds appearing. Our sincere intention thus fulfilling, as all Buddhas I know show their perfect bodies. I namo all incense cloud We will start from page 178. Page 178. Namo surpassed, profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, Transcending the Road. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva, makes 10 kinds of universal observations. What are the 10? They are the universal observation of all seekers who approach him, because he fulfills their every wish without the thought of turning them away. The universal observation of all beings who break the precepts, because he securely establishes them in the Tathagata's true precepts. The universal observation of all beings who have harmful intention, because he establishes them in the Tathagata's strength of patience. The universal observation of beings who are lazy, because he teaches and exhorts them to be vigorous and not to abandon bearing the load of the Mahayana. The universal observation of beings who are confused, because he enables them to dwell in the Tathagata's all-wisdom ground without being scattered. The universal observation of all beings who are deluded, because he enables them to resolve their doubts and to destroy their views of existence. The universal observation of all good spiritual friends who are impartial, because he follows their instructions and abides in the Buddha Dharma. The universal observation of the entire Dharma he has heard, because he quickly realizes the supreme meaning. The universal observation of beings that are innumerable, because he never renounces the power of great compassion. The universal observation of the entirety of the Buddha Dharma, because he quickly accomplishes all wisdom. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's wisdom of universal observation and surpass the great disciples of the Buddha. A bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of vigorous witness. What are the 10? They are the vigorous witness of a bull king, because he overshadows all gods, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, and so forth. Vigorous witness of an elephant king, because he is skilled at harmonizing and softening the hearts of all beings, and is able to carry their burden. Vigorous witness of a dragon king, because he is able to manifest the clouds of great Dharma, flashing the lightning of liberation, striking the thunder of the meanings of reality, and showering down the rain of sweet dew, the dew-generating roots, power, factors of awakening, dhyana, concentrations, liberations, and samadhis. Vigorous witness of a Garuda king, because he is able to dry up the water of craving, break the shell of delusion, snatch the offending dragons of affliction, enabling them to flee the great ocean of the suffering of death and rebirth. The vigorous witness of a great lion king, because he abides peacefully in the great wisdom of fearlessness and impartiality. He uses his wisdom as his weapon to vanquish the multitudes of demons and heretics. The vigorous witness of courage and strength, because he can destroy the enemy of all afflictions on the great battlefield of death and rebirth. The vigorous witness of great wisdom, because he knows the skandhas, their realms and places, and all conditioned causations, revealing and explaining all aspects of the Dharma, the vigorous witness of Dharani, because he attentively upholds the Dharma by the power of mindfulness and knowledge, proclaiming it for beings according to their potentials, the vigorous witness of eloquence, because he discerns everything immediately and without obstruction, benefiting and gladdening every being, the vigorous witness of the Tathagata, because he has accomplished the aiding means to the wisdom of all wisdom, by means of his instantaneous and interoperative wisdom, he has attained all that should be attained, and has awakened all who should be awakened. While seated on the lion throne, he subdues demons and adversaries, and attains Anyatara Samyak Sambodhi. These are the 10 if every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas. He would attain all Buddha's vigorous witness, the unsurpassed witness of self-mastery with regard to all dharmas. Disciples of the Buddha, Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of lion's roars. What are the 10? They are as follows. He calls out these words: I shall certainly attain the right, equal, proper awakening. This is the great lion's roar of the Bodhi resolve. I shall enable all those who have yet to be brought across to be brought across, those who have yet to be liberated to be liberated, those who are insecure to be secure, and those who have yet to attain nirvana to attain nirvana. This is the great lion's roar of great compassion. I shall not allow the lineage of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha to end. This is the great lion's roar of returning the kindness of the Tathagata. I shall adorn and purify all Buddha lands. This is the great lion's roar of ultimate and firm vows. I shall eliminate all the lowly paths and difficulties. This is the great lion's roar of upholding the pure precepts. I shall perfect all the adornments attributed to the Buddha's body, mouth, and mind. This is the great lion's roar of seeking blessings without becoming weary. I shall perfect wisdom like that of all Buddhas. This is the great lion's roar of seeking wisdom without becoming weary. I shall vanquish all the multitudes of demons and their demonic work. This is the great lion's roar of cultivating proper conduct and ending afflictions. I shall clearly understand that all dharmas are without self, without beings, without lifespans, without purpose, empty, signless, wishless, and as pure as space. This is the great lion's roar of patience of unproduced dharmas. The Bodhisattva with his final rebirth quakes all the Buddha lands and enables the lands to become adorned and purified. At that time, Lord Shakra, the king of the Brahma heavens, and the four world-protecting kings come to praise and make the following request. We only wish that the Bodhisattva would manifest the undergoing of rebirth by means of unproduced dharmas. The Bodhisattva therefore observes all worldly beings everywhere and sees no one else comparable. He then manifests being born in the royal palace, walking 7 steps and making a great lion's roar. I am the foremost one in the world. I shall forever end the round of death and rebirth. This is the great lion's roar of doing just as he says. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed roar of the great lion. End of Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 5. Transcending the World of the Buddha, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva practices 10 kinds of pure giving. What are the 10? They are giving equally, for he does not discriminate among beings, giving according to the recipient's minds, for he satisfies every being's wish, giving selectively, for he enables beings to gain the benefits they need, giving appropriately, for he understands the differences among beings, superior, mediocre, and inferior characters and capacities, giving without attachment, for he seeks no rewards, giving on a wide scale, for he is without emotional clinging, giving comprehensively, for he is ultimately pure, giving in dedication to Bodhi, for he forever leaves behind the conditioned and unconditioned, giving in order to teach and transform beings, for he never abandons giving up until and even after his awakening. Sheer giving, in which he contemplates the emptiness of the three wheels of giving, the giver, the given, and the gift. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would perfect the Tathagatas and surpass vast and pure giving. Disciples the Buddha, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, upholds 10 kinds of pure precepts. What are the 10? They are pure precepts of the body, guarding it from committing the 3 unwholesome deeds, pure precepts of speech, being free from the 4 faults of speech, pure precepts of the mind, being free forever from greed, hatred, and delusion, pure precepts of not destroying the purity of those observing the precepts, for he is a leader revered by both gods and humans, pure precepts of guarding and protecting the Bodhi resolve, for he does not descend to enjoy the 2 vehicles, pure precepts of guarding and protecting the regulations established by the Tathagata, for he has no fear of committing even a subtle or minor offense, pure precepts that he secretly guards and protects, for he can skillfully rescue those who break the precepts, pure precepts of not doing any wrong, for he vows to cultivate all good dharmas, pure precepts of being free from all views of existence, for he has no attachment to precepts, pure precepts of guarding and protecting all beings, for he gives rise to great compassion. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagatas and surpass flawless pure precepts. Disciples of the Buddha, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of pure patience. What are the 10? They are pure patience of calmly enduring slander and insult for the sake of protecting beings, pure patience of calmly enduring attacks by knives and clubs for the sake of skillfully protecting himself and others, pure patience free of anger or malice, for his mind is unmovable, pure patience of not chastising the lowly, for he is magnanimous while in a higher rank, pure patience of rescuing those who seek refuge, for he is able to sacrifice his own life, pure patience of being free from arrogance, for he does not scorn the unlearned, pure patience of not hating when injured or slandered, for he contemplates everything as illusion, pure patience of not revenging against an offense, for he does not differentiate between self and others, pure patience of not following afflictions, for he is detached from all states, pure patience of according with the Bodhisattva's true and real wisdom, and knowing that all dharmas are not subject to production, for he gains entry into the state of full wisdom without having to be taught by others. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he would attain the Buddhas and surpass patience with dharmas without having to be taught by others. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, applies 10 kinds of pure vigor. What are the 10? They are pure vigor in body, because he attends upon and makes offerings to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, teachers and elders, never retreating from his reverence to the fields of blessings. Pure vigor in speech, because he extensively explains whatever dharma he learns to others and praises the meritorious virtue of the Buddha without ever wearying. Pure vigor in mind, because he can freely and ceaselessly enter into kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, dhyana, concentration, liberation, and samadhis. Pure vigor of an upright mind, because he is free of deceit, flattery, deviousness, or hypocrisy, diligently cultivating without retreating. Pure vigor of an increasingly superior mind that aspires to the foremost wisdom, vowing to fulfill all dharmas of purity. Pure vigor of never wasting effort, because he embodies giving, moral precepts, patience, extensive learning, and vigilance, unrelenting until Bodhi is attained. Pure vigor of vanquishing demons, because he is entirely able to destroy greed, anger, delusion, improper views, afflictions, various fetters and veils. Pure vigor of bringing the light of wisdom to full perfection, because he skillfully contemplates all actions that lead to consummation without regret, and for he has attained the unique qualities of the Buddhas. Pure vigor that is not subject to coming or going, because he has attained the wisdom of seeing things as they truly are, has entered the Dharma realms, and is impartial in action, speech, and thought. Having cast aside all attachments, he understands appearances as having no properties of their own. Pure vigor of bringing the illumination of Dharma to completion, surpassing all grounds and being anointed on the ground of by the Buddhas. Devoid of outflows, he appears to undergo birth, renounce secular life, realize the way, speak Dharma, and enter nirvana, thus fully perfecting the deeds of universal worthy. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagatas and surpass vast and pure vigor. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, has 10 kinds of pure concentration. What are the 10? They are pure concentration of always delighting in renouncing secular life, because he renounces all possessions. Pure concentration of having genuine good friends, because these friends can instruct and teach the right way. Pure concentration of living in Aranya, where he endures wind and rain and so on, because he detaches himself from a self and what belongs to a self. Pure concentration of staying far away from noisy places and glamorous beings, because he always enjoys tranquility. Pure concentration of regulating the mind to become gentle and accommodating, because he guards his sense faculties. Pure concentration of quiescent wisdom, because he cannot be disturbed by any sound or any thrown to dhyana's concentration. Pure concentration of expedient means toward the path to awakening, because he contemplates that everything is within immediate realization. Pure concentration of detaching from dhyana flavors, because he does not abandon the realm of desire. Pure concentration of giving rise to all-penetrating understanding, because he knows the capacities of all beings. Pure concentration of playfully roaming in self-mastery, because he enters the samadhi of the Buddhas and knows there is no self. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these, he would attain the Tathagatas and surpass great and pure concentration. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, has 10 kinds of pure wisdom. What are the 10? They are pure wisdom of knowing causes, because he does not deny karmic retributions. Pure wisdom of understanding conditions, because he does not deny their convergence. Pure wisdom of knowing that phenomena cannot be annihilated, nor can they endure forever, because he thoroughly understands that conditioned causations are merely reality. Pure wisdom of uprooting all views, because he neither grasps nor rejects the characteristics of beings. Pure wisdom of observing the mental activities of beings, because he knows clearly that they are illusions. Pure wisdom of great eloquence, because he is able to distinguish among the varieties of dharmas and answer questions without hesitation. Pure wisdom that cannot be known by demons, heretics, hearers, and solitary enlightened ones, because he deeply penetrates the wisdom of Tathagatas. Pure wisdom of seeing the subtle, wonderful Dharma body of the Buddhas, seeing beings' original nature as pure, seeing dharmas as quiescent, and seeing lands the same as space, because he knows that all characteristics are without impediments. Pure wisdom of dharanis, eloquence, and the paramita of expedient means, because they facilitated the attainment of all supreme wisdom. Pure wisdom that resonates with instantaneous, interoperative, Vajra-like wisdom of comprehending dharmas as equal, because he attains the most honorable wisdom of all dharmas. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he would attain the Tathagata's great unhindered wisdom. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, has 10 kinds of pure kindness. What are the 10? They are pure kindness of impartiality, for he universally gathers in beings without discrimination. Pure kindness of benefiting all, for he causes beings to be happy in whatever they do. Pure kindness of attracting beings by caring for them as himself, for he causes them to ultimately transcend the round of death and rebirth. Pure kindness of not abandoning the world, for he is always mindful of accumulating roots of goodness. Pure kindness of leading beings to liberation, for he universally causes them to eliminate all afflictions. Pure kindness of giving birth to Bodhi, for he universally causes beings to bring forth the resolve to seek all wisdom. Pure kindness free of worldly obstructions, for he illumines all equally with his vast brilliance. Pure kindness that permeates space, for he rescues and protects beings everywhere. Pure kindness that ties dharma affinities, for he realizes the true dharma of thusness. Pure kindness that is unconditioned, for he gains entry into the bodhisattva's nature of transcending rebirths. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed, vast, great, and pure kindness. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of pure compassion. What are the 10? They are pure compassion that arises naturally without the need of others, because he independently brings forth the result. Pure compassion without fatigue, because he does not find it tiresome to undergo suffering on behalf of others. Pure compassion of undergoing births in difficult places, because he does it for the sake of liberating beings. Pure compassion of taking birth in good destinies, because he illustrates impermanence. Pure compassion for those who practice improper samadhi, because he never renounces his great vows throughout kalpas. Pure compassion of not clinging to personal pleasures, because he universally brings happiness to beings. Pure compassion of not seeking rewards, because he cultivates purifying his mind. Pure compassion of removing deluded states, because he explains the Dharma of reality. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva knows that the original nature of all dharmas is pure, not stained by attachment, anguish, or irritation. Swarms of suffering arise due to afflictions caused by sense objects. Having learned in this way for all beings, he brings forth the great compassion called purity of the original nature, because he expounds the undefiled, pure and brilliant Dharma. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva knows that dharmas are like traces left by birds in the sky, but that beings are blinded by the cataracts of delusion and cannot clearly see this. Having contemplated in this way, he brings forth a great compassion called true wisdom, because he explains the Dharma of Nirvana. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed, vast, and pure compassion. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of pure joy. What are the 10? They are pure joy of bringing forth the Bodhi resolve, pure joy of relinquishing all possessions, pure joy of not detesting or rejecting beings who break the precepts, but rather teaching and transforming them and to bring about their accomplishments. Pure joy of being able to bear with wrongdoers, but rather vowing to liberate them. Pure joy of renouncing his life without regret in order to seek the Dharma. Pure joy of giving up sensual pleasures and constantly taking delight in the Dharma. Pure joy of causing all beings to renounce their life's privations and constantly take delight in the Dharma. Pure joy of viewing the Dharma realm with an impartial mind, tirelessly seeing all Buddhas and respecting, serving, and making offerings to them. Pure joy of causing beings to cherish and delight in dhyana, concentration, liberations, and samadhis, and to playfully roam, freely entering and emerging from these states. Pure joy of unsurpassed samadhi and wisdom, having realized the unmoving tranquility of the sages and delighting in all kinds of austere practices that comply with the Bodhisattva path. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed, vast, and pure joy. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of pure equanimity. What are the 10? They are pure equanimity of never giving rise to a longing attachment to any reverence or offerings from beings, pure equanimity of never becoming angry with any being who slights, despises, or insults him, pure equanimity of constantly being in the world, and yet not being affected by the 8 kinds of worldly dharmas. Pure equanimity of waiting for the right time to transform beings who are worthy to be vessels of the Dharma, while not detesting those who are not worthy. Pure equanimity of not seeking the Dharma of learners, or those beyond learning of the 2 vehicles. Pure equanimity of constantly being aloof from sensual pleasures and associated afflictions. Pure equanimity of not praising or admiring the 2 vehicles of aversion to rebirth. Pure equanimity of separating from worldly speech, speech that does not relate to nirvana, speech that does not lead to freedom from desires, speech that does not comply with principle, speech that disturbs others, the speech of hearers and solitary enlightened ones, and so on, up to and including all speech that obstructs the bodhisattva path. Pure equanimity of waiting for the right time to transform beings who have matured in their roots and have sparked the wisdom of mindfulness, but have not yet known the supreme Dharma. Pure equanimity of waiting for the right time to teach beings whom he taught in the past, but who have not been guided and disciplined until they reach the ground of the Buddha. Toward 2 kinds of beings, both superior and inferior, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, neither grasps nor rejects them. He is aloof from every kind of discrimination, constantly abiding in the proper samadhis and entering the dharmas of reality. These are the 10 if every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them. He would attain the Tathagatas and surpass vast and pure equanimity. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of principles. What are the 10? They are principle of extensive learning, for he is steadfast and firm in his cultivation. Principle of dharmas, for he skillfully ponders and carefully selects. Principle of emptiness, for the ultimate truth is empty of self. Principle of tranquility, for he leaves behind the clamor and confusion of beings. Principle of inexpressibility, for he is not attached to language. Principle of complying with reality, for he well understands that the 3 periods of time are equal. Principle of the Dharma realm, for all dharmas are one in essence. Principle of true thusness, for all Tathagatas resonate with and enter it. Principle of ultimate reality, for he well understands and knows reality. Principle of parinirvana, for he ends all suffering, yet practices all bodhisattva conducts. These are the 10 if every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas. He would attain the unsurpassed, vast and pure principles of all wisdom. Disciples of the Buddha, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of dharma. What are the 10? They are true dharma, for he cultivates according to what has been spoken. Dharma free from grasping, for he is unattached to the grasper and the grasped. Dharma of uncontention, for he is free from all kinds of confused disputes. Dharma of quiescence, for he extinguishes heated afflictions. Dharma of freedom from desire, for he ends all greed and desire. Dharma of non-discrimination, for he forever ends wandering, scheming, and discriminating in the mind. Dharma of non-birth, for he is as immovable as space. Dharma of the unconditioned, for he is unattached to the process of birth, dwelling, and perishing. Dharma of the original nature, for his inherent nature is undefiled and pure. Dharma of forsaking upadi nirvana, for he brings forth, learns, and practices all bodhisattva conducts without cease. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he would attain the Tathagatas and surpass vast and great Dharma. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva, mahasattva, has 10 kinds of tools that aid his cultivation of blessings and virtue. What are the 10? They are exhorting beings to bring forth the Bodhi result is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it perpetuates the seed of the 3 jewels. Complying with the 10 kinds of transference is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it stops unwholesome dharmas and accumulates wholesome dharmas. Wisely guiding and teaching is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtues that aids his cultivation, because it surpasses the blessings and virtue of the 3 realms. A tireless mind is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it eventually liberates all beings, completely relinquishing all internal and external possessions is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it results in freedom from any attachment. Cultivating vigorously without retreating in order to become fully endowed with the superior features is a bodhisattva's means of blessing and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it opens the gate for magnanimous charity, transferring all roots of goodness, whether superior, moderate, or lesser, to the unsurpassed Bodhi without slighting any being is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it resonates with skillful expedients, bringing forth the mind of great compassion and not despising those who practice improper samadhi or those who are mean or unwholesome, is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it always gives rise to profound resolves like those of great people, paying respect and making offerings to the Tathagatas, considering all bodhisattvas as Buddhas, and causing joy in all beings is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his cultivation, because it helps him to firmly guard his original vows. The bodhisattva mahasattva has accumulated roots of goodness for asankhya kalpas, wishing to realize unsurpassed Bodhi, even though he can easily attain it as if it were in the palm of his hand. With a mind as vast as space, he gives everything away to all beings, without worry, grief, regret, or hatred. This is a bodhisattva's means of blessings and virtue that aids his accomplishment of the way, because he gives rise to great wisdom and realizes the great Dharma. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these, he would perfect the Tathagata's accumulation of blessings and virtue, the accumulation that is of unsurpassed, vast, and great quality. Namo Sammanto Motonan Apolati Hadoja Janaimi Anjimi Jimi Dantan Kadana Moa Shantim Boladi Udamo Damo Danta Kadana Moa Hom Pansaha Namo Sammanto Motonan Apolati Hadoja Janaimi Anjimi Jimi Danta Kadana Moa Shantim Boladi Udamo Damo Danta Kadana Moa Hom Pansaha Namo Sammanto Motonan Apolati Hadoja Janaimi Anjimi Jimi Danta Kadana Moa Shantim Boladi Udamo Damo Danta Kadana Moa Hom Pansaha. Praise for the 8th assembly. In the assembly for the third time in the universal light palace. The merit practices are perfectly cultivated. Form Samantabhadra's vessel, 2,000 responses pour forth. In the ocean of suffering, he sails the boat of kindness. A single phrase totally encompasses all Dharma meanings together, yet all pervasive. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master.
We will start on page 196, part 6 of Transcending the World, chapter 38. list 6.14. Namo fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Adornment Sutra, Transcending the World, Chapter 38. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of tools that aid his cultivation of wisdom. What are the 10? They are drawing close to learned, genuine, good spiritual advisors, respectfully making offerings to them, reverently bowing to and complying with them in different ways, and never deviating from their instructions is the first tool, because he is totally just and honest without any pretension, relinquishing arrogance forever, always humble and respectful, free from coarseness in his actions, speech, and thoughts, being gentle, harmonious, and accommodating without hypocrisy or crookedness is the second tool, because he is capable of being a vessel for the Buddha Dharma, illuminating the rising of thoughts with mindfulness and wisdom that lead to awakening without confusion, being conscientious, gentle, and harmonious, being peaceful and immovable, and maintaining the 6 kinds of mindfulness, practicing the 6 ways of harmony, and always complying with and abiding in the 6 ways of steadfastness is the third tool, because he uses the 10 kinds of wisdom as his expedient means, taking delight in Dharma and in principle, always enjoying listening to them without ever feeling weary, abandoning worldly philosophies and discourses, listening to transcendental teachings with a concentrated and receptive mind, and discounting the 2 vehicles and entering the wisdom of the Mahayana is the fourth tool, because he single-mindedly recollects them without distraction, devoting himself wholeheartedly to shouldering the 6 paramitas, perfecting the 6 Brahma abodes, according with and skillfully cultivating the dharmas of illumination, diligently seeking instruction from intelligent and wise people, staying away from the lowly destinies and relying on the wholesome paths, at all times joyfully contemplating with correct views, regulating his emotions, and guarding and protecting the minds of others is the fifth tool, because he firmly cultivates true conduct, delighting constantly in transcendence, and not attaching to the 3 existences, constantly aware of his own mind and never having any unwholesome thoughts, putting an end to the 3 types of mental functions, making his 3 aspects of karma wholesome, and thoroughly understanding the inherent nature of mind is the 6th tool, because he is able to keep his own mind and the minds of others pure, contemplating the 5 skandhas as being like illusory phenomena, the realms of senses like poisonous snakes, and the fields of senses like abandoned villages, contemplating dharmas as being like illusions, flames, reflections of the moon in water, like dreams, shadows, echoes, images, like paintings in the sky, rings of whirling fire, the colors of a rainbow, and like the light of the sun and moon, devoid of marks and forms, neither eternal nor ending, neither coming nor going, nor dwelling anywhere is the 7th tool. Contemplating in this way, he knows that dharmas have no origination and no extinction, and that they are empty and quiescent in nature, The Bodhisattva Mahasattva hears that Dhammas have no self, no beings, no lifespan, no Pudgala, no mind, no objects of mind, no greed, anger and delusion, no body and no substance, no master and no servant, no attachment and no actions.
All things without exception
are empty of existence and return to quiescence. Having heard this, he deeply believes it without doubt or splendor. This is the eighth truth, because he is able to achieve perfect understanding. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva is skilled at subduing their sense faculties, cultivates according to principle, and constantly abides in stilling and contemplating. His mind is tranquil without disturbing thoughts. He has no self, no person, no effort, no practice, no notion of self, no notion of deeds, no sores and no scars. He does not care about ideas nor deeds. He has no defects, no blemishes, and therefore no notion of patience. His actions, speech, and thoughts are without coming or going, without vigor or bravery. Observing all beings and dhammas, his mind is impartial and does not abide anywhere, neither on this shore nor the other shore. Both the nature of this and that are left behind. There is no place he comes from and no place he goes to. He constantly uses wisdom to ponder in this way. This is the ninth truth, because he has arrived at the other shore, free from discriminations. Because the Bodhisattva Mahasattva sees phenomena arising due to conditions, he sees dhammas as pure. Because of seeing dhammas as pure, he sees lens as pure. Because of seeing lens as pure, he sees space as pure. Because of seeing space as pure, he sees the Dhammaran as pure. Because of seeing the Dhammaran as pure, he sees wisdom as pure. This is the 10th truth, for he cultivates and accumulates all wisdom. Disciples of the Buddha, these are a Bodhisattva Mahasattva's 10 kinds of tools of wisdom that aid his cultivation. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dhammas, he will attain the Tathagata's pure and subtle wisdom collection that is unobstructed with respect to all dhammas. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of perfect brilliance. What are the 10? They are perfect brilliance of skillfully distinguishing all dhammas, perfect brilliance of not grasping or attaching to any dharma, perfect brilliance of being free from inverted views, perfect brilliance of eliminating all sense faculties with wisdom light, perfect brilliance of skillfully giving rise to proper vigor, perfect brilliance of enabling profound entry into the wisdom of truth, perfect brilliance of extinguishing the karma of afflictions and accomplishing the wisdom of ending outflows, as well as the wisdom of non-arising,
perfect brilliance of the wisdom
of the heavenly eye that universally observes, perfect brilliance of knowing past lives by purely recollecting them, perfect brilliance of ending beings' outflows by the wisdom of spiritual power that puts an end to outflows. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dhammas, he will attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed great brilliance in the Buddha dhammas. Disciples of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of quests for Dharma. What are the 10? They are the quest for Dharma with a straightforward mind, for he is free from flattery and deceit. The quest for Dharma with vigor, for he is free from slackness. The quest for Dharma with total devotion, for he does not begrudge his life. The quest for Dharma in order to end the afflictions of all beings, for he does not seek fame, benefit, or respect. The quest for Dharma in order to benefit himself and other beings, for he does not benefit only for himself. The quest for Dharma to enter wisdom, for he takes no pleasure in words and texts. The quest for Dharma to transcend the realm of death and rebirth, for he is not greedy for worldly pleasures. The quest for Dharma in order to liberate beings, for he has brought forth the resolve for Bodhi. The quest for Dharma in order to end the doubts of all beings, for he can free them from any hesitation. The quest for Dharma in order to perfect the Buddha Dharma, for he is not interested in other vehicles. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he will attain the great wisdom of every Buddha Dharma without having to rely on the teachings of others. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of illumination. What are the 10? They are giving birth to and increasing roots of goodness in accord with the world is the Dharma of illumination for naive ordinary people. Attaining unobstructed and indestructible faith and awakening to the inherent nature of all dharmas is the Dharma of illumination for cultivators practicing according to faith. Diligently studying and practicing dharmas and dwelling according to dharma is the Dharma of illumination for cultivators practicing according to dharma. Keeping away from the 8 erroneous ways and following the Eightfold Noble Path is the Dharma of illumination for any of the 8 people. Eradicating all fetters of afflictions, ending the outflows of death and rebirth, and seeing the truth is the Dharma of illumination for stream enterers. Contemplating pleasure as troublesome and knowing that there is no coming and no going is the Dharma of illumination for one's returners. Detesting the 3 realms, seeking to end outflows, and without even a single thought of fondness or attachment to undergoing any kind of birth, is the Dharma of illumination for non-returners. Attaining the 6 spiritual powers and the 8 liberations and completely achieving all of the 9 samadhis and the 4 eloquences is the Dharma of illumination for our hearts. Naturally being delighted in observing all things without exception and being governed by conditioned causations, his mind is ever tranquil, contented, and worry-free. He understands causes and awakens on his own rather than through others and achieves various spiritual powers and wisdom. This is the Dharma of illumination for practical Buddhas. Vast in wisdom and keen in his faculties, he constantly takes delight in liberating beings, diligently cultivates the dharmas of blessings and wisdom that aid in cultivation, and completely perfects the Tathagata's 10 powers, fearlessnesses, and meritorious virtue. This is the Dharma of illumination for bodhisattvas. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he will attain the Tathagata's dharmas of illumination and understanding that lead to unsurpassed great wisdom. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of practice. What are the 10? They are the practice of respecting and honoring all good spiritual advisors, the practice of always causing every celestial being to awaken, the practice of always feeling ashamed before the Buddhas, the practice of feeling empathy for beings and yet not abandoning the round of death and rebirth, the practice of completing every task without changing his mind or being distracted, the practice of single-mindedly following other bodhisattvas who have brought forth the Bodhi resolve for the Mahayana, and diligently studying and cultivating, the practice of breaking free from wrong views and diligently seeking the right path, the practice of smashing multitudes of demons and the karma of afflictions, the practice of knowing beings' innate nature, whether they are superior or inferior, and speaking Dharma to them accordingly to enable them to abide on the ground of the Buddha.
The practice of
Abiding peacefully in infinitely vast Dharma realm, eradicating afflictions and purifying the body. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he will attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed ways of practice. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva Mahasattva must be wary of 10 kinds of demons. What are the 10? They are the demon of skandhas, for it causes grasping to arise, the demon of afflictions, for it causes constant turbidity and defilement, the demon of karma, for it causes obstruction, the demon of mind, for it causes conceit, the demon of death, for it causes abandonment of life, the demon of habits, for it causes vanity and indulgence, the demon of roots of goodness, for it causes constant clinging, the demon of samadhi, for it causes excessive indulgence in states, the demon of good mentors, for it causes emotional attachment, the demon of knowledge about Bodhi, for it causes one to hold on to these views. These are the 10. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva should resort to expedient means in order to quickly be free from all these. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva must be wary of 10 kinds of demonic influences. What are the 10? They are forgetting the Bodhi resolve while cultivating roots of goodness is the influence of a demon, giving with an unwholesome mind, observing precepts with hatred, rejecting bad-natured people, leaving the slothful alone, slighting the confused, and despising worldly intellectuals is the influence of a demon, being stingy with the profound Dharma and not speaking Dharma for those who are capable of receiving the teachings. Yet upon receiving offerings of respect, wealth, or benefits, insisting on speaking Dharma to those who are incapable is the influence of a demon, disliking to hear explanations on the paramitas, not cultivating after hearing, becoming lazy and slothful in cultivating, because of slothfulness allowing one's aspiration to become narrow and inferior, and not seeking the unsurpassed great Dharma for Bodhi is the influence of a demon, distancing oneself from good spiritual advisors and drawing close to corrupt spiritual advisors, enjoying the pursuit of the two vehicles, disliking the round of rebirth, and wishing to enter nirvana in order to transcend desires and to attain quiescence is the influence of a demon, directing hatred and anger toward bodhisattvas, regarding them with malevolent eyes, looking for their offenses, speaking of their faults and cutting off their support, benefits, and offerings is the influence of a demon, slandering the proper Dharma and dreading to hear it. When hearing the Dharma, immediately criticizing it, not showing respect when others are speaking Dharma, saying that one's own explanations are correct and that others are wrong is the influence of a demon, enjoying learning secular knowledge and elegant literature, expounding on the two vehicles, obscuring the profound Dharma or passing on the wonderful teachings to unsuitable people, and forsaking Bodhi and taking up erroneous ways is the influence of a demon, often approaching and making offerings to those who have already attained liberation and peace, but unwilling to approach or teach those who have not is the influence of a demon, developing conceit and not respecting others, annoying and harming others, not seeking the proper Dharma or true wisdom, corrupting others and being difficult to awaken is the influence of a demon. These are the 10. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva should quickly run away from them and diligently do the work of a Buddha. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 ways of avoiding demonic influences. What are the 10? They are drawing close to good spiritual advisors, respecting, honoring, and making offerings to them. He avoids demonic influence, neither elevating nor praising oneself. He avoids demonic influence, believing and understanding the profound Dharma of Buddhas, never slandering them. He avoids demonic influence, never forgetting the resolve for all wisdom. He avoids demonic influence, diligently cultivating formidable conduct, never being lax or negligent. He avoids demonic influence, constantly seeking the Dharma of all Bodhisattvas' treasuries. He avoids demonic influence, tirelessly expounding the Dharma. He avoids demonic influence, returning to and relying upon all Buddhas in the 10 directions, thinking of them as rescuers and protectors. He avoids demonic influence, believing in and remembering the Buddhas and blessed by their spiritual powers. He avoids demonic influence, planting roots of goodness together with all bodhisattvas, practicing equanimity and non-duality. He avoids demonic influence. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he will be able to break free from all demonic paths. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 ways of beholding Buddhas. What are the 10? They are beholding the Buddha of proper awakening, who dwells peacefully in the world, for the Bodhisattva is without attachments. Beholding the Buddha of vows, who takes rebirth in the world. Beholding the Buddha of karmic rewards, for the Bodhisattva has deep faith. beholding the Buddha of dwelling and maintaining, for the Bodhisattva serves beings' needs, beholding the Buddha of nirvana, for the Bodhisattva has attained profound power, beholding the Buddha of the Dharma realm, for the Bodhisattva universally reaches everywhere, beholding the Buddha of the mind, for the Bodhisattva abides peacefully, beholding the Buddha of samadhi, for the Bodhisattva is free from measure and reliance, beholding the Buddha of intrinsic nature, for the Bodhisattva has clear understanding, beholding the Buddha of delighting everyone accordingly, for the Bodhisattva universally gathers in beings. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he will behold the Supreme Tathagata, disciples of the Buddha. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva does 10 kinds of works of a Buddha. What are the 10? They are guiding beings at the right time is the work of a Buddha, because it causes them to truly cultivate. Enabling beings to have visions in their dreams is the work of a Buddha, because it awakens them to their past roots of goodness.
Expounding unheard sutras
is the work of a Buddha, because it causes beings to gain wisdom and resolve their doubts. Speaking transcending dharmas to those bound up by regrets is the work of a Buddha, because it frees them from uncertainty. Displaying the Tathagata's body adorned with multitudes of superior features to beings who are stingy, cunning, malevolent, unfocused, arrogant, lacking in faith, or who hold the mindset of the two vehicles is the work of a Buddha, because it increases their past roots of goodness, vastly expounding the Dharma when the proper Dharma is difficult to encounter, so beings can hear and attain the wisdom of Dharamis and spiritual powers. Therefore, benefiting limitless others is the work of a Buddha, because of his sublime understanding and purity, creating by expedient means a voice like that of space, speaking the principle of non-harming to beings in demonic states, causing them to awaken and their imposing light to vanish, is the work of a Buddha, because of his supreme willpower, aspiration, and magnificent virtue, never allowing his mindfulness to be interrupted, for he constantly guards his mind from falling into the positions of the two vehicles, and never speaking of the states of liberation to beings who are not yet ready, is the work of a Buddha, because of his past vows, having completely freed himself from the entanglement and outflows of death and rebirth, cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct unceasingly, gathering in beings by means of great compassion and galvanizing them into cultivation to the point of ultimate liberation, is the work of a Buddha, because of his continued practice of the Bodhisattva conduct. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva, even though he has realized that he and other beings are originally quiescent, is not inclined to become alarmed, yet tirelessly cultivates blessings and wisdom. Although he knows that dharmas do not come into existence by creation, he does not reject the unique characteristics of dharmas. Although being ever free from greed and desire in all matters, he always delights in reverently beholding the Buddhas. Although he knows that he can gain entry into dharmas without having to be awakened by others, he employs every expedient in search of all wisdom. Although he knows that all lands are void, he constantly delights in adorning all Buddha lands. Although he constantly contemplates on no people and no self, he tirelessly teaches and transforms beings. Although he is fundamentally unmoved in the Dharma realm, he displays all kinds of transformations with his spiritual powers and wisdom power. Although he has already perfected the wisdom of all wisdom, he practices the Bodhisattva conduct without cease. Although he knows that dharmas are beyond words, he turns the pure wheel of Dharma to delight the hearts of beings. Although he is able to demonstrate the spiritual powers of the Buddhas, he does not become weary or abandon assuming a Bodhisattva form. Although he appears to have entered Nirvana, he undergoes rebirth in every place. Being able to perform such dual practices, provisional and real, is the work of a Buddha. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he will achieve the unsurpassed great works of never having to depend on the teachings of others. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva recognizes 10 kinds of arrogant acts. What are the 10? They are not respecting teachers, Sangha members, parents, Brahmanas, Brahmins, those who adhere to the right path or who are working toward the right path, and the fields of blessings that are worthy of reverence is an act of arrogance. Not respecting Dharma masters who have attained the supreme Dharma, who walk the path of the Mahayana, who know the essential path of transcendence, who have attained dharanis and ceaselessly expound the expansive Dharma of the sutras, and not respecting any of their teachings is an act of arrogance. Unwilling to praise the excellence of the wondrous Dharma one hears expounded in assemblies, causing people to not believe or accept it is an act of arrogance. Being inclined to feelings of superiority, elevating oneself and looking down on others, and not seeing one's own faults or shortcomings is an act of arrogance. Being inclined to feelings of overwhelming superiority, not praising virtuous people who deserve praise, and becoming unhappy when seeing others praise them is an act of arrogance. Seeing Dharma masters speak Dharma for the sake of others, and knowing that what they say complies with Dharma, the moral precept, the ultimate truth, and the Buddha's words, but out of spite toward them and their Dharma, slandering them and inciting others to do so, is an act of arrogance. Seeking a high seat and claiming to be a Dharma master who is worthy of receiving offerings and is exempt from duty, and upon seeing elders who are seasoned cultivators, not standing up to greet them and unwilling to serve them, is an act of arrogance. Frowning with displeasure when seeing virtuous people, speaking to them rudely and harshly, and looking for their faults is an act of arrogance. Unwilling to draw close to intelligent and wise people and those who know the Dharma, not respecting them, not making offerings to them, and not willing to ask them questions such as what is good, what is not good, what one should do, what one should not do, or what kinds of deeds in the long night can bring various benefits. Peace and happiness is an act of arrogance. Foolish, stubborn, and ignorant people are obsessed by conceit and can never see the essential path of transcendence. Moreover, being clouded by conceit, beings cannot draw close to, pay reverence to, and make offerings to Buddhas when Buddhas appear in the world. Currently, these beings do not do any goodness, while their past goodness diminishes. Speaking when they should not and disputing when they should not is an act of arrogance. Such beings will certainly fall into a deep pit of danger and difficulty, not encountering Buddhas for thousands and millions of eons, much less hearing the Dharma. Even so, because they made the resolve for Bodhi in the past, they will eventually be able to awaken themselves. These are the 10. If Bodhisattvas are free from these acts of arrogance, they will accomplish 10 kinds of deeds of wisdom. What are the 10? They are believing in and understanding karmic retribution and not denying cause and effect is a deed of wisdom. Not renouncing the Bodhi resolve and constantly being mindful of the Buddhas is a deed of wisdom. Drawing close to good spiritual advisors, honoring and revering them, and making offerings to them without ever becoming weary or neglectful is a deed of wisdom. Delighting in Dharma and principles without weariness, abandoning erroneous views and diligently cultivating right views is a deed of wisdom. Getting rid of arrogance toward beings, thinking of Bodhisattvas as Tathagatas, cherishing and revering the proper Dharma as much as valuing one's own body, honoring and serving the Tathagatas as though protecting one's own life, and thinking of cultivators as Buddhas is a deed of wisdom. Being free from unwholesomeness with regard to the karma of body, mouth, and mind, praising worthies and sages, and acting in accord with Bodhi is the deed of wisdom. Not denying condition of origination, being free from erroneous views, dispelling darkness and attaining light, and illuminating all dharmas is a deed of wisdom. Practicing in accord with the 10 kinds of transference, regarding paramitas as one's kind mother, regarding expedient means as one's kind father, and entering the house of Bodhi with a profound and pure mind is a deed of wisdom. Diligently and tirelessly accumulating dharmas that aid in cultivation, such as giving, upholding precepts, erudition, stillness and contemplation, and blessings and wisdom is a deed of wisdom. Diligently cultivating without exception, without weariness or retreat, and any deed that is praised by the Buddhas, any deed that can destroy afflictions and vanquish demons, any deed that is free from hindrances, veils, fetters, and bondages, any deed that can teach, transform, guide, and discipline all beings, any deed that accords with wisdom and gathers in the proper Dharma, any deed that can adorn and purify Buddha's lands, and any deed that induces insight and clarity is a deed of wisdom. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he will attain all the great deeds of wisdom of the Tathagata, deeds that are skillful, expedient, and unsurpassed. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva mahasattva may encounter possession by demons in 10 ways. What are the 10? They are possession by demons because of slothfulness and laziness, possession by demons because of narrow and inferior aspirations, possession by demons because of becoming satisfied with little practice, possession by demons because of upholding only one Dharma and slandering all the others, possession by demons because of not making great vows, possession by demons because of enjoying merely dwelling in quiescence and ending afflictions, possession by demons because of merely ending the round of death and rebirth forever, possession by demons because of abandoning the bodhisattva conduct, possession by demons because of not teaching and transforming beings, possession by demons because of doubting and slandering the proper Dharma. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva can avert these demonic possessions, he will be gathered in and supported by the Buddha in 10 ways. What are the 10? They are bringing forth the initial resolve for Bodhi. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, preserving the Bodhi resolve life after life without forgetting or losing it. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, recognizing demonic occurrences and avoiding them all. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, hearing about the paramitas and cultivating accordingly. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, knowing the suffering of death and rebirth, but not detesting it. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, contemplating the most profound Dharma and attaining immeasurable fruitions. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, expounding the Dharma of the two vehicles for beings, but not choosing to realize the liberation of these vehicles. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, taking delight in contemplating the unconditioned Dharmas without abiding therein, and not having thoughts of duality of the conditioned and the unconditioned. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, reaching the stage of non-birth, and yet undergoing rebirth. He is gathered in and supported by the Buddha, practicing the Bodhisattva conduct, and perpetuating the seeds of Bodhisattvas. Even after having realized all wisdom, he is gathered in and supported by the Buddha. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he will be gathered in and supported by the unsurpassed power of the Buddha. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva is gathered in and supported by the Dharma in 10 ways. What are the 10? They are knowing that all actions are impermanent. He is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. Knowing that all actions are suffering, he is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. Knowing that all actions are without self, he is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. Knowing that all Dharmas are in the quiescence of Nirvana, he is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. Knowing that all Dharmas arise from conditions, and yet do not arise when devoid of conditions, he is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. Knowing that improper thoughts arise from ignorance, that from ignorance arises other conditioned causations up to and including old age and death, that when improper thoughts are extinguished, ignorance up to and including old age and death are extinguished, he is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. knowing that the three gates of liberation lead to the vehicle of hearers, and the realization of the Dharma of non-contention leads to the vehicle of solitary enlightened ones. He is gathered in and supported by the Dharma, knowing that the 6 paramitas and the 4 dharmas of attraction lead to the Mahayana. He is gathered in and supported by the Dharma, knowing that all lands, all dharmas, all beings, and all worlds are within the realm of the Buddha's wisdom. He is gathered in and supported by the Dharma, knowing that the ending of all thoughts, the renouncing of all grasping, and the freedom from past and future are in accord with Nirvana. He is gathered in and supported by the Dharma. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in them, he will be gathered in and supported by the unsurpassed Dharma of the Buddhas. Disciples of the Buddha. A bodhisattva Mahasattva performs 10 sets of deeds while dwelling in the Tushita heaven. What are the 10? They are as follows: expounding the Dharma of non-attachment, disenchanting the gods in the realm of desire by saying that all comforts are impermanent and all pleasures ephemeral, and exhorting them to bring forth the Bodhi resolve. This is the first set of deeds. Expounding the entering or emerging from the dhyanas of liberating samadhis for the gods in the realm of form. If there are any who become attached to the dhyanas and further generate the view of a body, erroneous views, ignorance, and so on, he then explains true wisdom to them. If there are any who conceive inverted ideas of taking the dharmas of form and formlessness as pure, he explains their impurity and impermanence, exhorting them to bring forth the resolve for Bodhi. This is the second set of deeds. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the Tushita heaven and enters a samadhi called adornment of brilliant light. He emits light illuminating everywhere throughout the 3,000 great thousand worlds. According to the mentalities of beings, he speaks Dharma to them in various voices. So upon hearing, they bring forth pure faith, and at the end of their lives are reborn in the Tushita heaven. Thereafter he exhorts them to bring forth the Bodhi resolve. This is the third set of deeds. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven, with unobstructed eyes, universally beholds all Bodhisattvas in the other Tushita heavens in the 10 directions, and so do all other Bodhisattvas behold him in the same way. Upon seeing each other, they discuss and expound the wonderful Dharma, such as the descending of the spirit into the mother's womb, being born, renouncing secular life, going forth to the Bodhi Mandala, and being endowed with majestic adornments. Moreover, he takes up the past practices by which he had accomplished the meritorious virtue of great wisdom. All these things he is able to reveal without leaving his original place. This is the fourth set of deeds.
While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the Tushita heaven, the multitudes of
other Bodhisattvas in the other Tushita heavens throughout the 10 directions come and gather around him to pay their respects. At that point, because the Bodhisattva Mahasattva wishes to fulfill the other Bodhisattvas' wishes and to delight their hearts, he expounds the Dharma doors according to which grounds these Bodhisattvas should abide in, what to practice and what to sever, and what to cultivate and realize. After hearing this Dharma, the Bodhisattvas become greatly delighted, attaining what they never had before, and then return to their palaces in their own lands. This is the fifth set of deeds. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the Tushita heaven, the celestial demon king Papiyan, lord of the realm of desire, with his throngs of retinues, comes to the Bodhisattva's place, surrounding and besieging him, bent on disrupting the Bodhisattva's work. At that time, the Bodhisattva, in order to crush and subdue the army of demons, applies the wisdom of skillful expedience, the Prajna Paramita of the Vajra path, and expounds the Dharma for them with both gentle and harsh words, leaving no opportunity for Papiyan. Seeing the sovereign power, all the demons aspire to bring forth the resolve for Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. This is the sixth set of deeds. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the Tushita heaven, he knows that the gods in the realm of desire do not like to hear the Dharma, At that point, the Bodhisattva utters in a great voice, universally announcing to them, "Today the Bodhisattva will display rare wonders in the palace. Those who wish to see them should quickly go." Hearing these words, immeasurably hundreds of thousands of billions of non-universal gods all come together. The Bodhisattva, seeing these celestial beings gathering in the palace, shows them rare wonders, never having seen or heard of these wonders before, but now having seen and heard of them, the gods become greatly delighted and raptured and deeply engrossed. Furthermore, the Bodhisattva speaks to them with a melodious voice. "Humane ones, all things are entirely impermanent, all activities are total sufferings, and all dharmas are entirely devoid of self. Nirvana is quiescent." Furthermore, he says, "All of you should practice the Bodhisattva conduct and perfect the wisdom of all wisdom. When the gods hear the voice of Dharma, they worry, lament, and consult with each other. Becoming weary, they bring forth the Bodhi resolve. This is the seventh set of these. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the palace of the Tushita heaven,
without leaving his original place,
he travels to wherever all the infinite Buddhas in the 10 directions are, beholds all the Tathagatas, draws close to and worships them, pays his reverence and respectfully listens to their Dharma. At that point, wishing to enable the Bodhisattva to attain the supreme honor of enlightenment on the ground, the Buddhas explain the Bodhisattva ground called all spiritual powers. By means of the instantaneous and interoperative wisdom, the Bodhisattva becomes fully endowed with all supreme meritorious virtue and enters the stage of wisdom of all wisdom. This is the 8th set of these. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the palace of the Tushita heaven, wishing to make offerings to all the Tathagatas, he uses his great spiritual powers to shower down various offerings called Supreme Delight that fill up the Dharma realm, the realm of space, and all the world systems, as offerings to the Buddhas. The infinite number of beings of these worlds sees the offerings and brings forth the result for Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. This is the 9th set of these. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the Tushita heaven, he sets forth infinite and boundless illusion-like and reflection-like Dharma doors throughout all world systems in the 10 directions. According to their mentalities, he displays various forms, characteristics and bodies, various kinds of deportment, decorum and works, and various expedient means, analogies and speeches, causing beings to be happy. This is the 10th set of these. Disciples of the Buddha, these are the 10 kinds of deeds of a Bodhisattva Mahasattva performs when he dwells in the Tushita heaven. If every Bodhisattva were to accomplish these dharmas, he could subsequently choose to be born in the human world. Namo Sammanto Motana Palati Hatta Jajanam Anjini Jini Tanta Katana Mawasante Palati Uttamo Tamo Tanta Katana Mawaham Pansa Namo Sammanto Motana Palati Hatta Jajanam Anjini Jini Tanta Katana Mawasante Palati Uttamo Tamo Tanta Katana Mawaham Pansa Namo Sammanto Motana Palati Hatta Jajanam Anjini Jini Tanta Katana Mawasante Palati Uttamo Tamo Tanta Katana Mawaham Pansa. Praise for the 8th assembly. In the assembly for the third time in the Universal Light Palace, the myriad practices are perfectly cultivated. From Samanta Bhadra's vessel 2,000 responses pour forth. In the ocean of suffering, he sails the boat of kindness. A single phrase totally encompasses all Dharma meanings together, yet all pervasive. Dedication of merit. May every living being, a mind May compassion, wisdom, and joy. May kindness find reward. May all sorrow leave the grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of the endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Deep bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Nam